Hey everyone, SunTide here. Great to see you again, and hope you all are doing great. In this video, we're going to be talking about the best raw longsword builds in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak Tile Update 5. If you just want to see the best build, you can see that on screen right now, but I think the main thing that's interesting is the decisions around it, why we're picking this build, this weapon, and these things. Especially because, as you've noticed, we've changed the weapon to the Megrez's Asterism, the Lucent Nargacuga longsword. Why did we do that? What's changed? Well, let's get straight to it. Basically, since last time I posted builds here, we've had a whole bunch of things that are now different and much stronger. We now have better armor, charms, and decorations. We now have stronger weapons, and we now have a buff to Harvest Moon. That last one doesn't really change builds, but it's still really interesting and worth talking about since it changes the way you play the longsword. So yeah, let's start off talking about those charms and decorations. Basically, now, when you try and meld charms, we have two new options that are now called both Qurious Melding. So Vigor lets us use a bunch of Anomaly afflicted pieces to get 5 talismans at once. Talismans that we get from that, we can use in Cyclus Qurious Melding, where we can pick any skill we want, and we have a 100% chance of getting that skill. And compared to the previous Aurora Melding, the pieces we get from this are much, much stronger. We can easily get what we call 6-point charms, which are basically charms that have 6 useful skill points. The main ones I'd recommend are trying to get attack boost or critical eye at level 3, along with 3 2-slot charms. This is actually really easy to get. At this stage I have 3 critical eye, 3 2/2/2 charms with various other secondary skills. So you're going to get this really fast. It's really easy to get these much stronger charms. Before I was recommending things like attack boost 3 with 1 2-slot. Now we can get 3 2-slots, 2 free skills. Secondly, now we can actually make really strong decorations. Once you get past Anomaly level, research level 241, we can craft attack boost plus decorations, finally. So it takes a while to get there, but once you do, that means you can very easily fit much stronger skills in your 4-slot decorations. You can actually finally use all of your 4-slot decorations, which is really good. Free skills, more damage, it's always great. As a result of that, we just have so many free skills now, and the builds are going to be so much stronger. Another cool thing is that weapons are now stronger. So this was in the previous title update, but basically once you start unlocking Anomaly slots, you just get free stats for any piece of equipment. So for element weapons, you get element, raw, and sharpness. For raw weapons, you just get raw and sharpness. You can see on screen right now what you get at each level and the Anomaly level you need to actually get there. Basically though, once you have a raw weapon and you unlock all the slots, you get a free plus 40 raw and plus 20 sharpness. So 40 raw is absolutely massive. That's a solid over 10% damage boost, as well as 2 points of handicraft, which is really good. It makes it really easy to hit purple sharpness. Further than that, because we have so many free Anomaly slots, we can now easily fit more actual Anomaly skills on it. So we can get plus 20 raw, for example, really easily. So yeah, basically we have so much more damage, and it's so easier to actually maintain that purple sharpness now. So more power we get. And yeah, the last cool thing is now we have Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon was always in the game, but now it's been massively buffed compared to what it was when we first started. Basically, compared to what it was when Sunbreak was first released, we have a faster cooldown, which is great, so we can use it very quickly. We have a larger area. It no longer knocks you back when you leave, and most importantly, it no longer disappears on sheathing. So you can, that's the wrong one. So you can very quickly see how quickly this thing charges up. So I can very quickly get my second wire bug, and more than that, the best thing is now I can sheath. Before, when you sheathed, harvesting would disappear. And this is really good. Increases the reliability, so if you get hit, you could actually still move and use it. And most importantly, this lets you auto-trigger the self-counter with the special sheath. So the amount of extra hits that Harvest Moon lands extra hits whenever you counter. The amount of hits depend on the counter you use, and also your spirit level. When you're on red spirit level, you get 4 extra hits, which is a lot of extra hits. And basically that ends up over doubling the damage you do from ER Spirit Slash. Your ER Spirit Slash doubles its damage. Also, since you have more hits, you can better trigger Intrepid Heart and Wind Mantle, which is great, or Powder Mantle, which is also great. So yeah, basically it's now really, really good, and the cooldown is so fast. If you use it, you can automatically go into the barrel bomb, self-triggered counter, and then immediately go straight into the Helm Breaker, which is great if you're trying to wake up a sleeping monster. So yeah, basically I would always recommend Harvest Moon. It helps increase all of your moves' strength really, really well. So with that done, finally, stills and set building. Now the thing is, in top 85, because the armor, charms, decorations, and weapons are all so much stronger than they ever were before, we can basically fit all the stills that we really, really want. We can easily fit max attack boost, max crit eye, all of it. Now we're really fighting over stills that do very small increases to our damage. And thus, more than before, we're now asking ourselves, is it really worth getting this tiny 0.5% damage boost, or something that's more useful for utility? As such, before we get to the actual builds, I thought it was quickly worth talking about which skills are really worth getting, and which skills we can actually consider swapping out depending on how you play the game. And to do that, I thought I would show that in an internet-friendly tier list. So basically you can see skills that I've rated, how much damage each skill roughly contributes. It's hard to create like a full, definitive, mathematical description of every skill, but these are strong estimates based upon different builds. I've colored things differently. So blue skills are the main ones. So these things are common. You can slot in very easily with 2-slot decorations. Red skills are the rarer skills that you get from specific armor pieces or Qurious crafting or floor slot decorations. These are much harder to fit in. Usually if you don't pick up a red skill, you can pick up 2 blue skills. So these red skills, these unique skills, I've basically made them worth 2 of the blue skills. And finally, green skills are things that you can get via 1-slot decorations. You shouldn't have too much difficulty fitting in all of the green skills you want. So yeah, with that in mind, S+ skill, Quick Sheath. You're never going back once you use a skill. Definitely use it. S skills that increase your damage massively. If you're dead, Fortify, it will massively increase your damage. Powder Mantle, huge. I'll have a video about this in the next few days, and Weakness Check, Support, and Critical Boost are both your big damage boosting skills. S- skills that you should use because they make Longsword so much more fun and so much easier. So that's Wind Mantle, Wirebug Whisper, and Frenzied Bloodlust, which increase your Wirebug recovery rate, and Intrepid Heart, which makes you immune to knockback, lets you use your other skills much better. A skills, these ones increase your damage by 1.5% per point. So get these after you get the previous damage skills. So you've got Bloodlust, Built-Up Boost, Mail of Hellfire, and higher levels of Powder Mantle beyond the first level. B skills that you should probably get. They do have solid boost to damage. So Critical Eye and Attack Boost. Critical Eye to get you to 100% affinity, Attack Boost up to 7. And then 3 extra things. So Long Purple Sharpness, it's now very viable to get. Doesn't quite matter how you do it, just do it. So Handicraft up to 10, 20, or 30 purple, and then go Master's Touch or Protective Polish or even Heaven Sent. Whatever you want to give you high sharpness, get it. Chameleon's Blessing, if you use Poison, it's a very big damage boost. It's really, really good. And Frostcraft 3, if you can fit it. Frostcraft 1 and 2 are useless. I talked about this last video. Frostcraft 3 is what you need if you want damage. After that, we're starting to hit the bottom of the barrel. So these skills increase your damage by less than 1%. So higher levels of Mail of Hellfire, 1 point of Coalescence, or higher levels of Build-Up Boost. If you can fit them, you do get more damage, but they're less good than the previous ones. And once you do those, then you start questioning whether the following skills are useful. So Poison Attack 3 does a solid, because Poison's pretty decent, and getting an extra couple of Poison procs are going to be a solid damage boost. 1 point of Agitator, very small but nice. 1 point of Foray if you're doing Poison, is also pretty good. In a raw weapon, Burst 2 and 3 aren't so good, so that's around here. And Resuscitate is pretty nice if you have Bloodlust, but it's not going to be a huge difference. After that, other skills aren't really going to increase your damage at all, so definitely just don't get this. If you do manage to fit everything above this, get to defensive skills. That's going to be a much bigger influence in how you play. So yeah, don't get Coalescence beyond level 1 or Bloodlust or Foray beyond level 1. So now with that said, we can finally answer the question, why Megrez's Asterism? Why is Lucent Nargacuga Longsword now suddenly the best raw longsword in the game? And basically there are a lot of just really tiny reasons that help to push it over the edge. Nothing individually is really, really good. It's just everything sort of slightly works together to help it be a bit better. So, one example. One of the big problems with Megrez's Asterism is that by default, it only had one slot for a Rampage skill. So before it could only fit like the really bad single slot Rampage skills, you know, things like Fire Blight, Jewel, which is pretty useless. Now, it's pretty easy to get the slot upgrade via filling out your Anomaly slots. See, right now we have 10 Anomaly slots, and you can only use 8 of them for attack boost. So that means that if you want to get the actual Rampage slot, we're only going to lose 5 points of raw compared to 10. Previously, if we wanted to use this, we'd lose 10 points of raw because instead of our 1 extra slot, we could get 2 extra raw upgrades at the blacksmith, and that was worth 10 raw. Now we only lose 5 raw, which is nice. So basically we get 5 extra raw from that. Another thing is that now that when we open slots, we get massive bonuses to raw. So the hybrid weapon, the Calculus Himmel, which was always pretty good, now has to get both raw and element. Megrez's Asterism now gets full raw, so that's great too. It also gets bonus levels of sharpness, which gives you a solid amount of purple sharpness. So by default, Megrez's Asterism only had 10 purple sharpness, which is always a bit of an awkward number, because 10 isn't really enough to make some good use of it with Master's Touch. Now we get 30, which is a really good number. So Master's Touch at level 3 with 3 points of, with 30 hits of purple sharpness is enough to last you basically the entire hunt, or at least until a monster runs away. So yeah, that all works together. Wyvern Blade Luna still doesn't natively hit purple, so if you want to hit purple, you need to use extra skill points in Handicraft. One other thing, so it has a 4 slot now. Well, always had a 4 slot, but now it's actually useful. Before, the 4 slot wasn't really going to be used for much. Now we can use an attack boost for Jewel, which is great. Also, as we said, because it has native purple, you don't need as many skills, and you have more skills, which means you can fit a few extra, what I call the unique skills, the sort of reds just mentioned earlier. This means you can better fit Frostcraft 3, which Wyvern Blade Luna can't, which is a nice, solid damage boost. So yeah, that's why I recommend this build, which you can see on screen right now. So this build's pretty interesting. Basically, we do fit all the damage skills we want. So 7 attack boost, 7 crit eye, Cumulus Blessing, critical boost. We have Frostcraft at max, Master's Touch at max, Poison Attack at max, I'll get to that in a second, Quick Sheath, Weakness Exploit, Wind Mantle at max, Wild Whisper at max, 1 point of Bloodlust, Build-Up Boost, Burst, Coalescence, Foray, Frenzied Bloodlust, Intrepid Heart, Mail of Hellfire, and Powder Mantle. So that's like basically a list of all of the best skills in the game. Altogether, it's great. Now, to do this, we basically want to make sure that we get all of those sort of unique skills via Qurious crafting. You're going to try and do them via normal Qurious crafting, because all of these pieces of armor, by default, have like all really, really good skills. You don't want to lose any skills via skill plus crafting. So do the normal crafting. Luckily, all the skills you want aren't actually that unlikely to get now. So they're more likely than, for example, attack boost was when the game was first released, when Sunbreak was first released. Additionally, Essence just comes by so easily now. You get so much Essence just by doing Anomaly hunts normally. Each of these things you're going to get with around a 1 in 200 chance of getting. So yeah, by the time you actually like get the attack boost decoration, the attack boost plus decoration at Anomaly Research level 240, you should be able to actually get these skills. So yeah, that's sort of why I'm not going to be doing like non-Qurious builds, because by the time you actually get the decorations, you should have the Anomaly armor. So yeah, basically we just want to get 2 Frostcraft, 1 Powder Mantle, 1 Wind Mantle, and 1 Mail of Hellfire. Exactly what armor gets what doesn't really matter, but I'm going to recommend, if you can, put it on the pieces that I recommend on screen right now. The main reason is that when you do the elemental builds, you'll have a lot of the pieces you already need. And also, for example, Frostcraft is a bit more rare than the other skills, so you just want to put Frostcraft on as few pieces as possible. For me, I got like all the skills I wanted except for one last Frostcraft skill, which needed like 800 or so rerolls before I got it. It was an absolutely terrible evening. But yeah, basically do that. So yeah, basically this is going to be that overall best raw build, in part because it manages to get that nice Frostcraft 3, which Luna can't. But yeah, so I said I would come back to the poison attack, and we'll get to that now. Basically, in theory, poison attack does have the largest overall damage boost. But again, also not really always. So if you're doing multiplayer, for example, the extra bit of poison is probably not going to be a big deal. If everyone has poison, for example. So especially in that case, you might not want to have poison attack. Instead, we just have a free empty 4 slot, which you can use at whatever you want. And I have a few recommendations for that. So one of them is oddly enough going to be Dragonheart 1, which is a nice defensive skill, makes you immune to blights basically, and increases your coalescence uptime, which is nice. The biggest raw boost is going to be Agitator 2, so you can get that. Heartbreaker 2 might give easier access to weak points if you're fighting something like Gold Rathian or Silver Rathalos and you want to break their head. And Handicraft 2 will increase your purple sharpness by 2/3, so 67%, which gives you much easier sharpness management, which is nice. So yeah, feel free to change out that hard poison attack decoration with something else. Anyway, with Megrez's Asterism being good, that doesn't mean Luna isn't good, so they're still roughly comparable. I'd say Megrez's Asterism is better, but it's not really noticeable. The main reason Megrez might be better is just because Frostcraft is a bit more playable, and in higher HP monsters like Anomaly quests, the poison is going to be less relevant. So Wyvern Blade Luna has less raw, but more poison, so that's going to be the big difference. The big thing is that because we're using so many stores on Handicraft, you can see the build on screen now, we can't actually fit Frostcraft 3 anymore without losing significant amounts of damage elsewhere. So instead, our 2 lost unique skills are just going to go to Power to Mantle 3 instead, which is still nice, still good, but we're losing damage elsewhere. We can't fit Coalescence, which is also a nice damage boost with Bloodlust. So yeah, Wyvern Blade Luna is still good, just probably slightly less good than Megrez's Asterism. This might change if they do give us, for example, another Anomaly upgrade slot for Raw. Then this guy would get 5 extra attack, which might be enough to push it over the edge, things like that. So yeah, you can still feel free to build this if you really don't want to build Megrez's Asterism, up to you. At the end of the day, I had the tier list earlier of the skills, so again, a lot of the lost skills aren't really going to make a huge difference. Overall, I think Megrez's Asterism does also just have more freedom. Like I said, you still have that free 4 slot to customize however you want, so it gives you a bit more playability, lets you basically play to how you feel like, which I think is really nice and really important in a game like this. So yeah, in summary, overall, builds are now much stronger here in Tile Update 5, and we have so much more freedom in armor and skills. Megrez's Asterism is now overtaken Wyvern Blade Luna, in part because of that freedom and because of the new skills we can access, but they're still both comparable. So after you pick your main damage skills, feel free to customize per your tastes. Use Megrez's Asterism for pure damage, Luna if you want more poison, and also elemental builds will be coming tomorrow or next day, hopefully. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this video. Hope to see you all next time. I will hopefully update the doc and everything else in the coming days. And yeah, see you all next time, and thank you all for watching. Bye.